computer. Okay, awesome. So yeah, today we'll be talking about dreams and dream interpretation. So let's go ahead and get started. So yeah, so this is the fifth class that we'll be having. So basically, there are two types of dreams. One of the types of dreams is visions of the night, and they're symbolic dreams. So visions of the night, they are spiritual experiences that you have when you are deep asleep. They are an impartation or a direction warning that is very, very clear. Like its meaning is very clear. It's actually a higher revelation and probably more rare than regular symbolic dreams. So kind of like an example of a vision of the night I had. I remember one time I was praying, God, I haven't been, slain in the spirit in a long time. And I was in a place where it wasn't necessarily practiced and stuff like that. And I was like, God, I want to be so, indwelled in your presence that I fall over in your presence. And so I went to bed, and I had a dream where I went up to the altar, and the pastor there prayed for me, and I fell over. And then I woke up, and God's presence was just all over me, and I was like, oh, thank you, God. So it's cool because it's a lot of times impartations, directions, warnings, they can happen in dreams. And they don't need any interpretation because the meanings are very clear. So some examples are like the angel directing Joseph in the dreams in Matthew 1 and 2 of like where to go, like to move to Nazareth, to go to Egypt, and so on and so forth, like to avoid King Herod. So there was an angel talking to Joseph in a dream. And so that angel message was very clear. Also, the Lord appeared to Solomon in 1 Kings 3 and talks to him about ask him, what he wants, ask me anything you want. And Solomon asked for wisdom. So that actually happened in a dream. And then also Jacob's ladder. Jacob's ladder, that was a vision of the night also, where he saw angels descending and ascending into the throne of heaven. And so interpreting symbolic dreams is actually takes a little bit of work. And so after you have a dream, the best thing to do is to write everything down, every detail you can remember, and ask the Lord to remember. So like there's been examples and times in my life where I've actually forgotten a dream, but I knew I had a dream that night, and I was like, man, I can't remember what I dreamed about. And I go into my morning prayer time, and then I'm able to remember everything that happened in the dream. And so like the dreams that we tend to remember, not all the time, but they're the ones that are meant to be to have spiritual meaning. A lot of times the Lord helps us to remember what those are. And listing each symbol for the dream is really important. So once you write down the dream, and I'm going to show you how I've done it, you just take each symbol from the dream and you write it down. So if it's like colors, items, people, numbers, if there's anything unusual about the dream, it can generally be a symbol. And what we have to do is pray into each of the symbols. So there's things to keep in mind. So there could actually be multiple meanings to one symbol. And a lot of times there's personal meanings to symbols, and there's also biblical meanings. So for example, there's a lot of subjectiveness when it comes to dream interpretation. That's why it's really hard for people whenever they get symbolic dreams. They're like, what does this mean? They can be troubled by it. And like even in Genesis, the Pharaoh, he was troubled by this dream that he had. Nebuchadnezzar, he was troubled by a dream that he had. He knew it was from the Lord. But a lot of times it's subjective. So it has very specific meaning to a very certain audience. So a lot of the symbols won't actually be applied to every single circumstance. So there's not like one rule book where it's like this symbol will always mean this. A lot of times it has to do with how the Lord is speaking to you and how he speaks to you. So it's all dependent on your relationship with the Lord specifically. And ask if the symbol has a personal meaning. So for example, a dog might mean something to someone and something else to someone else. So like a dog could be, in my dreams, sometimes it represents evil. It represents a demonic force. Sometimes dogs are friendly and cuddly, and people love dogs. And so that can actually mean something like loyalty. And so it all is just dependent on the context, on what is actually happening in the dream, what kind of presence the symbol might be carrying as well is another thing to consider. So do symbols have biblical meaning? So looking back, for example, there's a lot of numbers sometimes that happen in dreams. I remember having a dream this week actually that had numbers in it, but they didn't have necessarily a biblical meaning to it. They had more of a personal meaning. So like numbers, for example, there's Hebraic numerology where like seven, the number seven means, completion. The number eight can mean new beginnings. The number three can mean the Godhead. 12 can mean order or establishment, like God establishing government. For example, like the 12 sons of Israel, the 12 disciples, and so on. And there's actual symbols, and colors actually can mean something from the Bible as well. Like purple means royalty, blue can mean the Holy Spirit or the Word of God. And so it all depends on the application of what the symbols actually being trying to portray. Is there a general agreed symbol, meaning that most people would agree with? So sometimes it's helpful, like if, for example, there's a car in the dream, a lot of times that can mean your personal life or it can mean ministry life. And it doesn't always mean that, but it can often represent something. So there's some symbols actually carry certain connotations with other people's dreams. So it can be helpful to do some research and to look into what are other people also having dreams with the same kind of symbol. What does it mean for them? It actually can be really helpful to see what else other people are dreaming and what that actually might mean for symbols. So is there any questions or any thoughts about that one, that slide? And if not, we can move on.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
You said something about like if a dream is from God, then you like most you always remember it. Are there things that we can do that like to make us forget our dreams? And if is there something practical we can do to help us remember the dreams?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so one of the most practical things is that I've heard is to have sort of like a notebook and a pen ready, like on the side of your bed, that the moment you come out of sleep, that's probably the best time to remember. And so you just write down everything you can recall, and maybe later in the day, sometimes you might remember some of the things that were said. Also, like I know for me, if it is a God dream, I ask the Lord, help me remember what it is, and the Holy Spirit does it. He really is awesome, and he's able to remember, to remind, and so yeah. So if maybe like waking up and writing isn't necessarily because we're still getting our gears rolling and we're not functional, maybe having like a recorder, like with your phone, and just record what happened in your dream, what you saw. And just sometimes I've done that way because I was going to go back to sleep and I'm like, I'm not going to write right now. So I just recorded it and went back to bed. And then in the morning, I was able to remember it because it was on my phone, and I had completely forgotten about it, but luckily it was on my phone. And so I was able to have it. So that's kind of what's happened with me. Okay. So yeah, so resources for dream interpretation. There's some resources, but we also want to stay safe with where we go for dream interpretation resources. Some good places that I've seen are, for example, let me see if I can, there you go. John Paul Jackson. I don't know if you guys know who John Paul Jackson is. He's since passed away. I think he died in 2015 or 2014. He was very, very prophetic. He was a prophet. And he did a lot about dreams, and he has a bunch of YouTube videos on dreams. He has a lot of websites about dreams. He's really a really safe place. And a lot of people who talk about dream interpretation, like Sean Bowles or Jennifer LeClaire, they actually point back to John Paul Jackson as being like a source of inspiration, a source of revelation that about dreams, because he's really prayed into it. He's gotten a lot of helped a lot of people with dream interpretation. So I'd really recommend him. Jennifer Leclerc from Charisma Magazine has a lot of materials on dreams as well. You can find her stuff on YouTube as well. She has a lot of stuff like has to do with symbols and stuff. So I was listening to some of her stuff today as well before to prepare for this. So it's been really good. Um, when we go to the internet to look for things, we want to stick to Bible-based sites because there's a lot of stuff out there that's like New Age, psychic stuff, and it can actually cause more confusion and oftentimes not be very helpful. And it can even open doors for the enemy. So we want to stay away from any New Age sites. And I never go to those. I look at like the verbiage, like at the headline, like it talks about like, psychic or New Age or spiritist or anything, any of that language. I just stay away from it and just recommend for people not to go there when it comes to internet. And yeah, and just ask a spiritual mentor, ask a friend if they have any thoughts about symbols or dreams. So I remember one of my friends, they actually had a dream about me in it, and they didn't want to tell me about it because it was a little bit embarrassing. And so I asked the Lord, show me what this person had a dream about me. And I had a dream with the same things that she had in my dream. And so the Lord gave me the dream, and I said, "Hey, I had a dream about you." And I shared what it was, and she said, "Oh, that's exactly what happened in my dream as well." And so I was able to help this friend help interpret what it means. And so yeah, the Lord does it where we can help other people with dreams interpretation, and we can actually be a source for people in helping talk about what dream interpretation, what symbols and dreams mean, and so on. I remember just one other quick testimony. There was a spiritual mentor of mine a couple of years back, a year or two now, and he had a dream, but he asked me just to pray for him. He didn't tell me he had a dream or anything. He just said, "Hey, just pray for me. Whatever you get, it'll be the Lord." And so I remember praying and asking the Lord for a picture. And so I saw this picture of him and his family in this red car, and they were going really fast. And then I said, I see you and your family. You're going really fast in the car. And the next picture, I saw him in kind of like this force field bubble and like a snake trying to get him, but it couldn't. And then I kind of explained what that meant. And then later he said, "I actually had a dream last night with the exact same things you just described right now. I was in my car. I was in my car with my family. We were driving really fast, and we went off a ramp. And in this ramp, there was like a force field bubble, and there was like a snake trying to grab and eat us, but we actually like flew over, and it actually didn't touch us." And he said he had the same dream from the night before. I didn't know when I was praying for him that these symbols were actually meaningful in a way of like it was actually a dream. I actually didn't think it was anything. I thought it was nonsense because it just seemed weird and maybe didn't make a lot of sense. But for him, it meant a lot of sense. And so, yeah, I think when it comes to asking for dreams and dreams interpretation, yeah, the Lord really moves on it. Yeah, and it's been real cool that when we ask the Lord for things, He does give it to us. I remember I never used to dream actually, like have any spiritual dreams before I went to a prophetic conference at Bethel. And there I met somebody who prayed for me to have dreams. And then ever since then, I've been having, God dreams. And it's been really helpful in just sharing like what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to go. And so God's been really on that with dreams. And so that's one way He speaks to me. If He can't speak to me through like my waking hours through prayer, He generally speaks to me, in dreams. And so that's been really helpful. Is there any questions or thoughts about this part? And if not, yeah, we can continue to move on. Okay. Yeah, so when is a dream from God? So that's a good question, because we get lots of dreams. I had a dream last night, but I know that it wasn't from God. It was just a soulish dream, because it didn't have any meaning. But sometimes dreams can be from the enemy, and they carry a presence of fear, of pessimism, of death or evil. And these dreams generally represent and show us that there is some access the enemy has that he wants us to pray against, that the Lord wants us to pray against. So it could be something that we've allowed in our lives. It could be something that is trying to attack someone. I remember my mom, she had a dream where she saw her brother in Mexico. She saw him die. And so she got up in the middle of the night, was really troubled, and started just interceding, started praying. And then later that week, she found out that there was a man, her neighbor, his neighbor, her brother's neighbor, got really mad at him and tried to come at him with a machete and hit him a little bit, but it didn't kill him. And she describes like, God interceding having God intercede for him be a source of salvation for her brother. And if she hadn't prayed, if she hadn't listened to the Lord, then that something more dire could have happened. And so yeah, but so like when it comes to like demonic dreams, a lot of times it can be eye-opening to what we can pray into and what we can pray against. And so soulless dreams, actually, so dreams come from the REM stage, rapid eye movement, whenever our brain processes information at night. So, we have fluctuations in our sleep pattern that we go deep into sleep and we come out of it. And so when we're into really deep sleep, our eye actually twitches and moves, and we actually have our dream stage. And it doesn't happen, most people don't dream every night. Some people do. They dream a lot. And it could do with like, certain chemicals in the brain, I've heard that like eating certain foods, rich with certain vitamins can actually help enhance more dreaming and stuff like that. And I heard that actually from, I forget his name, at Bethel. He's a prophetic director. Joseph, I think his middle name is Joseph. Yeah, and when I went there for prophetic conference, he said he started eating more types of foods, and it helped him to actually start dreaming more. But generally, when it comes to soulless dreams, there's actually no meanings or symbols behind them. It's like the things that are happening in the dream are really straightforward. Like it doesn't really carry any weight to it. Sometimes we don't even remember them. Most of the times we don't remember those dreams. And so like last night I had a dream where I was studying, or I was going to school or going somewhere with my partner, and our the program manager was there. And so like it didn't really have any significant meaning to me. It just seemed like the that week, prior to me having this dream, that those things were happening. So it's just a lot of times it's our brain processing information. And then when they do come from the Lord, it's, in my opinion, they're harder to forget. These dreams carry many symbols. So there's a lot of weird things in dreams that actually seem unique and seem like very specific of, okay, why is the Lord using this kind of symbol? Or why is this symbol in my dream? This could be something to pray into. This could be the Lord trying to share something with me. And so it's really good to pray. And so why does the Lord give us symbolic dreams? I had a friend who didn't like to get dreams because it meant that she had to pray into them, figure out the symbols, and like why doesn't God just mubashara? Why doesn't He just straight up tell me like what He wants me to do or what He wants me to go or anything like that? Why does He have to speak through a dream, through symbols? And it comes through. There's a verse in Psalms. It says it's the glory of a matter. The glory of the Lord to hide a matter. It's the glory of a king's to seek out the matter. So God, when He gives symbols and dreams, He doesn't hide information from us, but He hides it for us. It makes us hungry and helps us to really press into the Lord, to want to hear His heart more, because He's not just about giving information like a teacher on a test. If the teacher just gave you the answers, you wouldn't learn. But the teacher gives you all the material beforehand to start thinking critically, to start thinking about, okay, how to answer questions, as opposed to just giving you the answers straight up. Then He's actually helping you learn. He's actually helping you grow in your learning. And so that's the way the Lord is. He gives you everything you need to process information. He gives us the Word of God. He gives us prayer. He gives us relationship with Him. And so that's a landing pad for us to be able to to tap into more of what the Lord is doing, and asking Him for symbols And so that's kind of the reason why the Lord does that. So is there any questions here? Any thoughts, comments?
I have a thought, just one comment.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the vitamins you were talking about, the supplements, they're not like to make you dream, but they're to help you remember what you dreamed. Because there are some things, because they help like with the brain functioning and stuff like that, like B vitamins, like melatonin, stuff like that. So if someone has trouble remembering a lot what they dreamed, that means they have some deficiencies that like you can take vitamins for or supplements, but they're not like to induce dreaming, but to help you remember what you dreamed.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, this guy, he named a specific chemical in the brain. It's not just serotonin and melatonin. Those are natural occurring chemicals in the brain. There's another one that helps with the dream stage, and he said that the liver, like eating like chicken liver or something like that, is actually helps carry this type of chemical. So I can get that for you. I wanna present information that's correct. So I'll look into that for you and share that with you. But you're absolutely right. There are chemicals that help us to sleep, and there are chemicals that help us to remember. And this is the first time I ever heard that there was actual chemicals that help us dream and that help us get into a deeper stage and keep us there. And so I was like, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll definitely look that up and get the name of that for you as well. And I think you can take it in supplemental form, and not just have to eat liver, because liver is not that tasty in my opinion. So yeah, no, thank you for that. There's a
Unless you do.
mhm, mhm. So let me see. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So for example, I had a dream on July 3rd of 2020. So this was the year before last, right when I was getting ready to come to the Middle East. So I was gearing up, getting ready. And so this was the dream that I had. So I asked the Lord if I can share this here in this class, and I felt like a release to be able to do so. A lot of the things that I feel like he doesn't release me to share are things that haven't happened yet, things that are still in the future. Everything in this dream is something that's happened in the past, and it can serve as maybe just a way to help us kind of help me explain kind of what I mean by dream interpretation with symbols. And so this is the dream. I was in a fast gray car like a Ferrari, and my dad in the driver's seat. My dad was in the driver's seat, and another person was in the passenger seat. I was in the back seat. We drove to the parking garage of a concert hall, but ran through the security gate. The cops tried to get us because we were going really fast, but we left quickly in the vehicle as they were approaching the concert hall where we were. The cops had a negative connotation in the dream because they were trying to stop us from having fun and going fast. We drove over train tracks and were having conversations along the way. I don't remember of what, but the vehicle we were in now was my dad's gray truck, and it's reliable. We came up on this ballpark where there was a big chain link fence, but we drove straight under it easily and it didn't harm the truck. Then we came up to a brick wall. One guy named Harold, someone that I worked with, and I think Jocelyn's actually met this guy, who has dreadlocks from work, jumped over quickly with ease. I threw several supplies, maybe books, over the wall, then jumped over myself. My dad and brother were still on the other side, and I was trying to help them get over. I could tell on the other side of the wall where we were going was my future and what looked like a different country. So that was the dream. So now I'm actually going to ask you ladies, what you think some of these symbols could actually mean. So what do you think dad could mean?
The Father.
Father. So maybe God. So Father God.
Yes.
Fast car. What is fast car? What could fast car mean?
Your ministry or
Very good.
life.
Very good. Yeah, not meant to go. Yeah, you're good. You can do this. Wow. MashaAllah. Okay. Concert hall. What is a concert hall? What could that mean? Anyone? What could a concert hall mean? So for me, it meant church. So church is what concert hall meant for me. And so all these symbols is something I prayed into and was kind of some of them were.
You remind us what.
What's that?
Okay. I was going to say like a place of worship.
Okay, yeah, place of worship, like a
Place
church.
of
Yeah.
worship, like heavenly.
Okay. Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, and then cops. What could cops mean?
I think it can mean like legalistic leaders who like kind of not in the spirit, who might have like not wanted you to go there.
Did you read my notes before?
No, I promise I didn't.
Okay, wow, that's really good. Yeah, so religious authorities. And some of these are really straightforward. Like like it's very mu'ayyan, like it's very mbayan, like it's very easily seen. Something that from the dream and applied in my life could be something that's seen as like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So what could cross and train tracks mean? That's a little bit more tricky. Any takers, Sandra?
Or where you're going like on the long term.
Where I'm going on the long term, okay. So for me, it meant life decision point. And then I was talking to. Okay. It seems like it's cutting out a lot. One sec. Um, okay. So we got to. Okay. So life decision point. So what does a reliable truck mean? Anyone? For me, it meant that God's way is reliable. And then baseball field. What could baseball field mean? This one I had to look up. This one was a little bit tricky for me.
I mean, reliable truck can also mean like God's church, like God's church in the country you went to, or like the supportive community that uh, helped you to understand that the decision was right. What do you think?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it was a little bit the sound was a little bit muffled. But yeah, so yeah, for this, baseball field can mean goals and dreams in life for me. I remember there was a baseball fields for this one would be a little bit harder, but it was called the Field of Dreams, this baseball field that was near my house. And so yeah, it was but in general, this one I actually looked up too, and it actually meant goals and dreams in life, which was interesting for other people. So what could chain link fence mean? Yeah, and maybe we can type it out. It's been a little bit hard. The sound seems to be cutting out a little bit. I put my phone a little bit higher so that way you can get a little bit more reception. So chain link fence, for me, it meant obstacles, but with God, I was able to pass through them easily. And then brick wall. Brick wall means maybe tougher obstacles to face. Dreadlocks. So what do you guys think dreadlocks means? Any takers?
Like hippie
Could be
vibes.
like prophetic ministry.
So hippie vibes, prophetic ministry.
Like people who are like chill and
Yeah. So I actually got what Sandra was talking about, like an easygoing guy, because hence he easily will overcome obstacles easily. Is what I was getting. So actually, the Lord was kind of, this whole process was actually me, the stage right before coming, and then actually talking about a little bit of me coming to Jordan. And so these things already have happened. So like I've seen like I was able to get over obstacles easily, and like Lord's favor, being here. So supplies, what does supplies mean? What could that mean?
School, maybe, like going to school.
Going to school, okay.
Things that can help you along the way.
Okay. So I got what God has put inside of me, like the supplies in the tools and the tool belt that the Lord's given me. So that's kind of like what I got from that. Brother, what does brother mean? What could brother mean? And so remember, like all these answers could be subjective. It could absolutely mean that. Like it could mean school. It could mean, you know, it could mean gifting, like it said here. Like all these are subjective in terms of how God is speaking to you. And so for me, brother, in this case, meant like other fellow believers. And I want God and fellow believers to be part of this next journey with me. And the different country. What do you think the different country is?
Jordan,
Yeah, yeah.
the best country in the world.
Country. So yeah, I was able to get these symbols, and so yeah. So yeah, does anyone have any questions or anything that they want to share? Any questions about this? We're kind of moving this through this a little bit more quickly with the fear guests and stuff, but yeah, what do you ladies think? Is there any questions you
I
have?
have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Can God give a dream for someone who's a non-believer or who doesn't believe in dreams, but that will still give them like a very clear vision of the night, or like a dream that's like symbolic, and then even if they don't believe it, but like they will still receive a dream? And can they receive a dream for someone else that is a believer?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've heard stories, even, people in this part of the world coming to faith, through dreams, and they weren't believing at the time, but that helped alert them. And so whenever it comes to like visions of the night, they're very clear. There's a very clear impact that happens from them. I have a friend who had a vision of a door opening with light inside, and it told him to come through into the light, and he knew it was Jesus. And then since then he became a believer on it by himself. Like he was trying to ask questions. Well, not by himself. He got some help. He was asking because he knew Jesus, that he was asking the Catholics that were here in this part of the world. He was asking them, hey, what does this mean? And they couldn't explain it to him. He was asking, some folks in the Orthodox, and they couldn't explain it, but he got with like Protestant, evangelicals, and they were able to explain and share that it was Jesus, and he's calling them into salvation. And so, and then ever since he did receive and calls himself a follower of Jesus. And so, yeah, this absolutely, like, I think, we can't limit God. For example, Nebuchadnezzar, he was an unbeliever. He was a Gentile. He was not part of the Jewish tradition. He didn't believe in God, but God gave him dreams. Same thing with Pharaoh. Pharaoh wasn't a believer. He had pagan gods, but God gave him a dream so that Joseph could interpret it, so that he could actually save the tribe of the 12 tribes. And so it's all part of God's plan, and there's something redemptive when it comes to even non-believers having dreams. And can you get dreams for other people? Absolutely. I think sometimes, most of the time, we get dreams where we're the main subject in the dream. But a lot of times too, I've heard, that they're seeing some dreams happen where you're seeing someone else be the subject of the dream, and you're watching them, kind of interact. And so yeah, it's always one thing that I've heard John Paul Jackson say when I was listening to the tapes today, that you can categorize things as who is the subject, and then what are the other second subject. So the one main thing, and then there's secondary subjects where it talks about like in this dream there was the subject of like church or the concert hall, and then they're being on the road, and then actually jumping the wall into the other country. So those are like the secondary subjects, and the main subject was me being with God. And so yeah, there's definitely, you can definitely get dreams for others as well. And so any other questions or thoughts about this? Any maybe personal experiences or thoughts about dreams?
I once heard that if a dream is white and black, it can mean like a spiritual warfare, or like if it's not colored, it's mean like kind of something, you're in a spiritual battle. Do you think that's correct?
That's a good question. I've heard of people having black and white dreams. I've never had a black and white dream. I don't know if it necessarily meant warfare, to where this person was speaking. I know John Paul Jackson, he spoke about having black and white dreams, um, and without color. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure about that one. I'll get back to you about that one. I'll do some research because that one I haven't personally experienced. And I don't know, have you had any experience with that, like a black and white dream?
Yes, but I did. I usually God doesn't talk to me through dreams, unless like it's something really big.
Mm.
Yes, he did talk to me once. It was like a white and black dream. I can remember it like until now, and I remember like in the dream I was like, the dream was like everyone couldn't move and everyone was so tired and everyone was just crawling on the ground. And I remember in my old school there was like kind of everyone was not feeling well. Um, and so yeah, it actually I think the dream was like about something spiritual that the whole place was like fighting against. So yes, like
Mm.
everyone feels draining, and in the dream it shows exactly that, like everyone just couldn't move. And I think it was like my old school and it was like kind of a tough season and everyone's like very tired. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, thanks for sharing. Yeah, that one I'm not sure about. Yeah. And yeah, I could definitely look into that as well. That's really interesting. Yeah, not sure if I could say for certainty there's that correlation, but there might be people might be having that experience where maybe that there is a correlation there. So I'll look into that. Mhm. Yeah, any other thoughts or questions before we move into activation?
I have another question.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard. So can someone have a dream and it can have different meanings to different people? Like you can interpret it in a way, and in that way it means something spiritual to you. And the same dream Sandra can interpret and means something spiritual different, completely different to her. And they're both true at the same time. And but at the same time, it's my dream and I understood it in a completely different way. So can a dream from God have different meanings to different people if they interpret the symbols in a relative way that means something different to each one of us, but yet the dream ends up being like important for each one of us, or like kind of encouraging but in totally different three meanings.
Yeah. So there are dreams that he can give for the corporate body, and sometimes those people have more influence or power. So like for example, the dreams that Pharaoh and Nebuchadnezzar got were for what he was going to do with the kingdom, what God wanted to do with the kingdom. And so when it comes to personal revelation, you have to ask yourself in this certain dream, in this personal dream, do these things in this dream, is it meant for you? Is it meant for that person who's having the dream, or is it in this dream? Does it look, and is it pretty clear that it's meant for a broader body? And so that's kind of like the subject. I was kind of sharing who is the dream for, and that's going to be really important in establishing. Okay, there's certain guidelines and parameters in actually interpreting the symbols, because there might be a certain way, specific way that the Lord is speaking to that person, that only that person will understand. And so yeah, it's really important to maybe have that person process, and they can ask for outside input, and it could still be encouraging for other people to see and hear those kind of dreams and experiences. But I really have a personal conviction that, like, if that person has a revelation from the Lord, and they have a dream that the Lord is sharing with them, and it's pretty evident that it's for them, they can share it with others, and that can be encouraging. But when it comes to actual interpretation, I think it still is in the responsibility of that person who had the dream and who it's for, to help to actually establish the meanings of the symbols. And so yeah, other people can give input, but it might not seem, because I've also had friends where, like, they came with their dreams, and I said, hey, I think it could mean this, it could mean this, and they're like, no, I don't think so, I think it could mean this other thing. Like, okay, and so it's like it's in their purview to be okay. Yeah, I agree, I accept that. That seems like it could fit. or they can be in the complete purview of, okay, that doesn't make sense, and so I might not, then that might not be the meaning for this symbol. And so yeah, it could. But if it's for a corporate body, you want to interpret it corporately. You want to be able to process it with the people that it's about. And so that's one of the things I think we've gotten away from is judging words, judging prophecy, judging prophetic dreams if it's meant for people, in a way that is healthy, in a way that establishes connection and relationship, and really keeps accuracy when it comes to prophetic. Awesome. So yeah. So I'll go ahead and turn off the recording.